This episode of I Am Salt Lake Podcast is proudly sponsored by Jed's Barbershop. With 3 locations, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 5. Their newest location is located at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and up in Sugar House at 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointment is necessary. Just show up, get yourself a haircut. Maybe you have a last-minute date or a job interview. Jed's Barbershop is the place for you. Head on over to their website at jedsbarbershop.com for more information.
Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people, making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake Podcast.
My name's Chris Hollifield, and I want to personally welcome you all out today to episode 300 of I Am Salt Lake Podcast. On this episode of the podcast, I sit down and chat with online course coach Michael Marcial. We get a chance to find out his personal story and what led him into becoming a course coach and the obstacles that he faced along the way. I actually did this interview, just him and I. Chrissy wasn't feeling well for the interview, so she set out. It was interesting because even though I've done so many podcast interviews just solo in the past, it was different. You know, I have been doing it with Chrissy for so long. It was a little weird. It was like one of my limbs was missing. Hang tight for that. We're going to be playing that interview here in just a moment. This past week, we had the chance to be on an episode of Salt Lake Insider, so you're going to want to make sure to watch this. Episode 13 to be exact. Dustin came over to our office and filmed a short interview with us. We posted the video on our website, so you can watch it over there by going to iamsaltlake.com/Salt Lake Insider. We'll put all the links for that on the show notes for this episode, for episode 300. Hey, we all run into those events that we need a photographer. Maybe it's a family get-together, a work holiday party. If you're a comedian that needs headshots, or if you're like Chrissy and myself, we needed wedding photos. We want to invite you to check out the photography of local photographer Amanda DeWolf. She took all of our wedding pictures, and we seriously couldn't be any happier with them. You could check out all of her work by going to her website, Amanda K Memories. That's where you can get in touch with her. Again, the website is amandakmemories.com. All right, let's jump into that conversation that I had with Michael Marcial when he came over to our office and shared his story. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy. I always like to kind of start the interviews with the question, if you had less than 30 seconds to tell me about yourself, what would you say?
Ooh, I would say if that were the case, I'm just a regular guy. I've had some really crazy experiences in my life. Tornadoes. I was just out in Vegas. We can talk about that. The shooting, the craziness that came with that. But I've learned with these experiences and I've grown. I've figured some really cool things out in life and business. And my mission on this earth is to help as many other people as possible to figure their own stuff out. That's my mission. That's it. I've got a 5-year-old little girl who I love, and that's my life.
Sounds like the ideal life.
Sounds good.
Where did you grow up? Did you grow up here in Utah, or where's home for you? Where do you call home?
I call home Utah now. Having said that, I grew up in Chicago. Most of my family's out that way, in and around the Chicagoland area. But I came out here just over 6 years ago. And I do love it.
What brought you even to Salt Lake City area?
Work. I was working with a large national company, and they had an opportunity out here. As I mentioned, the tornado. So I made a little pit stop with that company out in Joplin, Missouri. Joplin, Missouri, not very large of a town, maybe like 1.5 miles in circumference and diameter, and hit that tornado, and it just shook up my entire life. But at the same time,
like an actual tornado,
an F5 tornado. Like if you ever seen Twister, that was my life for approximately 22 minutes. which felt like forever. I mean, we can talk about the tornado, I'm sure, but it really shook some things up. I lost everything. And I should say my former wife and I, we lost everything and ended up coming out here. So it was like Dorothy going from Kansas to, the land of Oz. I land here in Utah, and I've never seen mountains before like this. I've never, there's a lot of really cool things going on here. Way different than Chicago, definitely different than Joplin. But yeah, it's totally given me a brand new perspective on life, and I use that in my personal life. I have my own views on that, but certainly in business too.
So what was your thought when you found out you were coming to Utah? Always that perception. Obviously, this being a Salt Lake City podcast, I'm always curious. People that moved here, especially recently, 6 years really is pretty recent.
Yeah, really.
What was your thought on Utah? I'm sure you had kind of that idea in your head. Oh, Utah's kind of weird, man. It's kind of goofy.
Yeah. Here's my exact thoughts. What is a Utah?
What is Utah?
Okay, what is it? I have no idea what Utah's all about. I just knew that, I'm one to keep my eyes on opportunity and growth. And that's what it meant for me. Just professionally and personally, I was, doing something brand new people, new environment, just really putting myself to the test that way. But, I was like, wow, okay, well, I know that there's a ton of Mormons, and that's it. That's all I'm aware of. I had no information other than that. Mitt Romney, that's like, I've heard that name, right? And Utah. I get that, but there's no context for me. And it's funny, when I told people like, hey, it looks like I'm moving to Utah, they're like, why? What could possibly be in Utah that would be interesting, exciting, fulfilling, etc. And I had the same thoughts. I was like, I have no idea, but that's where life's bringing me right now. I'm following suit. But that was my thoughts. I had no idea. And in fact, we landed at about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, wearing the wet, moldy shoes that I had left from this tornado. The clothes that I did have, we packed in a backpack and came out here. We went to Walmart. I remember I bought some shoes. I bought some new clothes because I was going to like pretty much interview for this next consulting role. And with that, I remember looking up and I saw this faint light, and I'm like, what is that? It's like, it's so high up there. I was like, are there skyscrapers here? Because that's what I'm used to. Fast forward, go to sleep in the hotel, throw open the curtains, and here are these massive, beautiful mountains, clear blue sky, and my jaw dropped, and like pretty much instantaneously.
So that was the first time you'd ever even visited Utah. You came here, boom.
First time ever. Wow. That was it. And that was my impression. I was like, wow. I literally came from absolute destruction. This mile-wide tornado ripped up Joplin. If you guys don't know, listeners, if you don't know anything about it, hit up YouTube. There's some really crazy videos.
Sure.
But having said that, I went from destruction to this gorgeous, gorgeous place. Met some amazing people. Just grew professionally, and so I call Chicago my home because that's where my family is. That's where my heart is. But I absolutely love Utah now.
Well, Chicago's a beautiful city as well.
Oh, sure.
I got to visit it for the first time. I went out there for the podcast movement that was in Chicago, not this past summer, but the summer before. Beautiful
Absolutely.
City.
And it's got everything. Like, whatever you're into, it's there. Food, culture, history, art, architecture.
I'm sure it's a bit of a culture shock, though, too, coming here. There's not the diversity like there is in Chicago. And I mean, are you still happy here 6 years later? You still like it? I mean, it's home. It works for you.
I do. I love it. Really great people. That's the one thing I really appreciated. We moved here. We had to rebuild. Sure. That's what we were doing. And I remember we came out, we rented for the first year because I had no idea where to live. I was just going off of suggestions, and we found a place in Sandy to rent for the first year. And then I remember we were moving to Lehigh, and myself not being Mormon, I have my own faith, my own beliefs, but not being Mormon, a lot of people have said, Lehigh, Utah County, you're getting in deep here. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, it's just a perfect location. We found this awesome home, all this stuff. Well, it's me, and at the time, my pregnant former wife.
Yeah.
So she's not lifting anything. She's at this point about 6 months pregnant. And so I'm like, hey, you just chill, grab some boxes, do whatever you want to do. But we've got the washer, dryer, fridge, all this stuff, and the beds and all that stuff. And I remember I asked my one neighbor, hey, would you mind coming over and help me with my washer and dryer? It's in the basement. I can't really get to it. not only did he come, but his wife came, their brother, sister, other neighbors I'd never met. We had this team of people that just swarmed in, and like that, my stuff's packed up. And that was a testament to how amazing I think people in general are. But there is a culture, a community out here that I haven't seen really elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward a little bit. You're an online course coach.
Yeah.
Which I think is fascinating. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how you and I connected.
Absolutely. Yep.
Online through that. And then I was like, whoa, you live here in the Salt Lake City area. This is great. I got to bring you on the podcast. Of course, I don't know a whole lot of your story with that, but when did that happen? Because, this is your own business, right?
Correct.
That you have going. How long has that been going on? How did it start? Yeah. What got you interested? I know it's a lot of questions.
It's a lot of questions.
Throwing right at you at once.
I will do the condensed version because I know when I'm listening.
Well, yeah.
Oh, we can expand.
However much you want. Because I want to know, man. I want to figure this out from you and learn your story.
Okay. I'll give you the goodies because I think this is applicable to not just people that want to start their own business or do their own thing. Like you've got this podcast, which is awesome. For those that haven't seen pictures of this place, it's awesome. Like the whole brand. I'm just going to throw some shout outs.
Sure,
You've got the media wall with your logo, with the honeycomb and the bee, I am Salt Lake. And then literally right behind me, there's soundproofing on a yellow wall in honeycomb shape. And it's baller, if I can say that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, it's pretty baller.
Thank you.
So having said that, 13 years ago, I'm gonna just tell you how old I am now. 13 years ago, I was 19 years old. I was 2 years into college, paying for it myself, and I couldn't afford it any longer. And so I had this crossroads. I was like, okay, do I keep going to school for math education and Spanish? I also played drums, so I was there for music performance, a minor. And I was like, do I keep doing that, knowing I don't want to be a teacher right now? I want to go live life. I want to do some really cool stuff. Or do I just get further and further into debt in this private school that's like $40,000 a year? Okay, well, I felt like I had an answer there. Having said that, at the same time, there was this opportunity. I'm a drummer. And I connected with this guy at this random, quote unquote, random music shop. This awesome beard like yours. He comes up. He's like, hey, man, you're pretty good. Like I was just jamming on a drum set. He's like, dude, you're pretty good. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And he's like, we start talking about school and what I'm into and all this stuff. And he's like, hey, I just have this feeling like I've got this business. I build and sell electronic drum sets. Nobody's ever seen anything like this before. It's not these rubber pads. It's not this cheap thing that you might have a mental picture of. It's this really high-end thing. It's like it costs $5,000, but I'm selling 10 of them a year, making $50,000 a year. Not all of that's profit. We know business. He's got his own cost. He's not paid himself anything, not even $1 in the 5 years he's been in business, barely being able to cover the cost of building these things. So he shows me the product. It's amazing. I'm like super fired up, and I'm like, dude, we got to get this out there. The problem is, and it was clear, I'm a reverse engineer at heart. That's what I would call myself. I see a problem, whatever it is, I can see the solution and the steps backwards from Z to A, how to get stuff done. And I love to take action. So it's like this perfect recipe for him. So I was like, hey, YouTube just came out. Very visual, right? It's a new platform.
That just dated yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I get it. But I was a young buck, 19 years old. I'm super into social media. I'm super into to the things that were just coming out.
What got you?
Facebook.
What got you into that then? I guess that might be a whole nother sidetrack story. I don't want to go that.
No, you're fine.
Because a lot of people, Facebook, social media.
Yeah, right. It's new. Like, think about anything that's new. You have your skeptics, but that's good. That's a good thing because maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work.
Sure.
Almost doesn't matter. So for me, I was still in college. I remember getting a notification probably like through school email or AOL or something like that, saying, "Hey, this new thing called Facebook has now added your university," because that's how it rolled out the first probably several years was through universities to connect people. And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty sweet." I love connecting with people. I love learning about humans. So I jumped onto Facebook and then, here comes YouTube, this video platform. I loved it. And I was like, dude, we need to get your stuff on video and onto YouTube. I can share it. Trust me. I love to connect and I can do this. So we ended up doing a handful of videos, and the first video had like a couple thousand views. It was pretty awesome, right? We were pretty stoked. I realized I needed to give the person, the visitor to that video, a way to further check into, if they were interested at all, into this product. So I made this really crappy website. bad.
Like
bad
back
website.
on GeoCities or one of those horrible
whatever it was bad.
Yeah.
But it was e-commerce, right? It was like, here's a picture of the thing, here's a description,
Sure.
here's the price. If you want it, click the button. That's it. And so I started putting that URL into the description of all the videos. And so out of the 2,000 people that would see it, a certain percentage would click on the link and we'd get some interest. But I knew that we needed more numbers. And so I reached out to different forums, online forums and communities of people that were talking about electronic drums and music. And I created a brand around myself, kind of as the face of this company. And I just said, hey, if you're interested in creating music this way or gigging, on stage, but you want this solution, but you want something nice, this is what it is. And so we started seeing 2,000 views, 5,000 views, 25,000 views, 100,000 views, 500,000 views, 1 million views, 2 million views. And it kept growing simply by getting the information in front of people, just connecting those people that were looking for answers with a solution. And we 10x'd the sales from 50,000 to 500,000. The guy ended up selling his business, which was the whole goal. That was the plan. But here's where it just kind of snowballs. I'm like, okay, well, what do I do now? Like, here I am 5 years later, work. I had my full-time job still because I ended up quitting school. I got a job to pay the bills. And while we were growing, here I am working from 9 to 6, eating dinner for a couple hours, relaxing, getting ready to then work from 7 or 8 p.m. to 2, 3, 4 in the morning every day for 5 years. 5 years.
It gets old.
It does.
Yes.
But, my belief is like, if you absolutely are on fire for something, the old, when that point where it does become old, it's much farther out. You can battle through those things. I had, I'd given up relationships. I'd given up friends. I'd given up what I would consider, and this isn't to be insensitive, but distractions from what my goal was. And that was hard. Yeah. But it was much easier because I had a goal. I had this thing that was not going anywhere. So anyway, moving forward from that, I just kind of leveraged that success into another opportunity, the one that kind of brought me from the Chicagoland area to Joplin out here to Utah. Did a lot of sales and marketing with them, working with their teams, and that went extremely, extremely well. And so while I'm doing this, my friends and family, people I'm connecting with on Facebook, on Instagram, which I love Instagram and Facebook, on these different platforms, they started asking, like, Michael, like, how are you doing this? How did you help these companies do these things? How have you been able to do those things? And, I give out information like, well, this is what we did. This is what that looks like. And I quickly realized that information was powerful. And let's see, almost 4 years ago now, 3.5 years ago, I decided to focus more on my family. And I'll spare you a lot of the details unless you want them. You let me know.
Whatever you want to share.
3.5 years ago, I decided maybe 4.5 years ago, I decided to leave that position. It took me a good solid year to make that decision because some people I know can relate to this. I felt like I had found my identity. I was working my face off 60, 70, 80 hours a week. That was my identity. And I was missing the boat. I had a new daughter, that I was missing out on. I didn't grow up with my dad in my life. And so here I had the opportunity to be in my daughter's life, and I was going to work before she woke up, coming home before, after she's in bed already. Yeah. I'm missing out on my wife at the time. And so, in the last year of that, it was a struggle, but I made a decision to leave this position that I felt like I had the notoriety. I had the, a little bit of narcissism, probably an ego attached to that. But here we are doing some really awesome things, really healthy 6-figure income. That was my identity. That's what I associated myself with. And it hit me in the face. I was like, that's not who I am. That's just what I'm doing. And I was like, if I'm telling myself and I'm telling everybody my family's number one, well, where's my action behind that? And so I eventually exited that position to focus on family. And that's when I realized we had grown so far apart. I know we're getting into the personal story, but we did.
Who grew far apart?
My former wife and I.
Former wife.
Yeah. It was really apparent at that point within a month and a half. I mean, I just realized it smacked me in the face, but I told myself if I left this awesome thing and it didn't work out, I could feel good about that. Yeah. I could feel okay about that. But if I stayed and it didn't work out, I would hate myself forever. And so I did. I gave it up, focused on family, realized it didn't work.
And family's important, I mean, I just had a little girl myself.
Yeah. Congratulations, officially
less than a month ago. Yep. Thank you. As I get kind of busy with projects and doing things, I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, she's not even a month old yet, at the time of this recording, but she's growing up so fast.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's like, before I don't want to be that dad that doesn't take part in her life and watch her. And so I can totally relate, man.
Yeah.
And that's,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's important.
It is important because, I mean,
but money's nice too.
Money's nice too. Well, hey, I'm so far into that. Like, hey, if you want to make money, awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. That's part of my thing. I love making money, but I love helping other people do the same.
Yeah.
But I also have that human side, the other side of being human, where I love to impact people. I love to share my message. I love to share my story. I love meeting guys like you that are doing cool things. And I love my family.
Sure.
And all of that's good. But that's where I was at. I was like, wow, I'm missing out on my daughter, and I couldn't have that. So anyway, I leave the position, realize we've grown so far apart. And the craziest thing, I mean, I had friends and family reaching out like, so what are you going to do now? Like, and I was like, I don't know. I'm going to take 6 months off and figure it out. But that 6 months, didn't tell myself this even. I didn't tell anybody. But those next 6 months were probably the hardest 6 months, 6 to 9 months of my life. I spiraled into this weird depression because I'm an optimistic guy. I'm a happy, positive person. But I spiraled into this depression because I didn't have an identity. I realized my family, in my eyes, were gone. My job, gone. My friends might as well be gone. I didn't associate with anybody. I didn't talk. I didn't go out. I barely took care of my physical self. Relationships, all, in every area of life was going to crap. And to the point where, it doesn't matter how much you have saved in a 401k or your savings account or how much you profited from selling your house and most of your possessions going through a divorce. I blew through that pretty quickly. And 6 months later, I can't pay my rent. I'm not buying food. I can everything that I had money wise went to my very little time with my daughter, food for her. Making sure, if we're going to go out to eat, I can buy her some $2 cheeseburgers. Sure. That was my life. That was reality. And as hard as that was, the hardest part was when I was in I don't even call it an eviction. I chose to leave my apartment before I was evicted. That's how low my self-worth was.
You were just like, I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to be evicted. I'm just not going to come back.
So where'd you go?
Slept in my car.
Legitimately.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the same time, I mean, here I am looking myself in this rearview mirror saying, Michael, this is not who you are. This is the circumstance. You got to remember that. You got to know that. And I gave myself this pep talk that I don't know where it came from. Maybe I do, maybe I don't.
You said you were pretty depressed at this time too. So I mean, your spirits are low. You're living in your car.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't even get to see your daughter all the time, right? I mean, just here and there.
Yeah, yeah. Because I couldn't. I didn't have the gas money.
And you don't have family here either, right?
Don't have family out here. It was very isolating. And I in hindsight, I feel like I isolated myself. That's really what it came down to. But that's the thing. Everything pointed back to self. I was like, okay, my relationships, that's on me. My finances, that's on me. I'm not doing anything. My everything, spiritually, emotionally, physically, relationally, all that's on me. I'm the common denominator. And I had to get real with myself. And this is where life comes together. This is where it was one of those defining moments where it was do or die, almost literally,
Hold that thought. We need to take a break really fast, play a message from our sponsor, and then I want to finish this conversation. I figured that's just kind of a nice little place right there, that defining moment for Michael. So hang tight. We'll be right back. This episode of I Am Salt Lake Podcast is proudly sponsored by Jed's Barbershop. With 3 locations, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 5. Their newest location is located at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and up in Sugar House at 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointment is necessary. Just show up, get yourself a haircut. Maybe you have a last-minute date or a job interview. Jed's Barbershop is the place for you. Head on over to their website at jedsbarbershop.com for more information. So before I cut you off, you were kind of at that defining moment. You're living in your car of what you need to. We're going.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. We're going.
Okay. Message over. Here we go.
Should I just let you continue? Or
Sure.
Do you remember where we left off there?
No, I do. Okay. So the defining moment, right? So I'm looking myself in the in that rear view mirror and I'm saying, Michael, okay, this is where life is funny. And I say it like literally. I chuckled to myself. I was like, okay, Michael, do what you do best for yourself now. Okay. And I think that applies to so many people. I speak on a lot of stages. I do a lot of, no, I shouldn't say a lot of, but I love doing interviews like this where I say this and people like their heads nod, eyes get big, smiling, understanding what I'm saying, that there are those times when you look back and you're like, okay, what have I done for myself that I do for everyone else? How many people do I use my gifts and talents for? I love to help. I love to do all these things externally, but I don't do it for myself. I met a room full of web designers and I said, who here, by raise of hands, has built more websites in their first year for everyone else, all your clients, all your people, without having one yourself, right? It doesn't seem logical that you're a web developer, designer, and you didn't start with your own website. 90% of the room, hands go up. And everyone starts laughing and clapping like, damn, like, yeah. Here I am. Like, I want to start business. I want to help. I want to do all these things. I want to build my brand, but I didn't even build my website for the first year. It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, so I'm looking at myself. I'm like, all right, Michael, do what you do for yourself. If you were a business, if you were a thing, if you're a brand, what would you do for you, the client now? You separate yourself from you and your situation. What does that look like? And I got real with myself. It came down to me just lying to myself. I felt like I was wearing a lot of masks, of my identity, of what I wanted people to think I was, like some hotshot marketing business consultant. Yeah, I'm skilled in those things, but that's not who I am. I'm a nerdy, weird dude. I love all things internet. I happen to be good at certain things. I love speaking. I'm a great speaker. I would say, and other people have told me, so it's like it's not even ego talking at this point. It's just like, I know those things. I know these certain things. But I also then had to be accountable for the things that weren't working, right? I had to own that. And so looking at myself, I was like, okay, well, what are you the best at? Like, of your skill set, what is that one thing? And I was like, I can help people and businesses make more money online. I'm really good at that. Okay, so we're getting something.
Goes back to even the YouTube video.
Goes back to YouTube. At that point, 10 years ago, 9 years ago at that point. I'm like, okay, I can get people online, get people noticed and making money in the right way, not sleazy, no gimmicks, just being real, and sharing. Okay, I'm good at that. But what am I passionate about? Like, I might be good at it, but would I do that every day and not get paid for it and I'd be cool? And I said, okay, what's my passion? People, like helping people to figure it out for themselves. Sharing, just saying, hey, this is my story. This is what it looks like. This is what I've figured out. Go and use it. Let's apply it to your life, your business, whatever that looks like. And so that's kind of the story. Then I literally, sitting in my car, I had my phone, some clothes. That's about it. Hopping around to places with free Wi-Fi because I wasn't paying my cell phone bill, at that point. And here I am. I literally on my phone, I made a personal logo, a logo for myself.
On your phone?
On my phone. Yeah.
And this was probably back when like iPhone 4 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
That sounds about right. Yeah. When they were still very low tech.
Yes,
really,
low tech for sure.
Yeah.
And so I make a logo. I build a pretty basic website. That's a whole funny story in itself. But I make this thing and I'm like, this is what I'm all about. I just put an about me page. That's it. Like, this is what I'm all about. This is what I can help you do. If you need me, here's a way to contact me. It goes to my email. I'll get it when I'm on Wi-Fi. So that's it. And so through social media, through Facebook, LinkedIn, I reached out to 10 people who I knew I could help to take their either their personal brand or their business and make more money online. I knew that I was going to help these 10 people and I could. I reached out, dwindled it down to 7 people that wanted to have a conversation about it, that were even interested. Of those 7, 5 people said, Michael, this sounds great. What you're offering for $1,000, Sounds great. And like that, $5,000 in my bank account. Crazy, right? All it was a conversation to say, hey, what is your pain point right now? Okay, what's going on?
You're still living in your car.
Oh, I'm in my car.
Yeah. Just to kind of set the
make no
scene
mistake
here
about this, right? Yeah.
For people listening. I mean, you're doing this while you're in your car. People live in houses and come up with excuses on why you can't do it. You cut the excuses out and went after it.
Do or die, right? Do or die. I was,
Where were you showering?
So I had
truck stops.
No, okay. This is getting real.
Yeah.
Okay. Not truck stops. So my former girlfriend actually had put me on her gym membership.
Yes, I've done that.
Yeah, I had a gym membership. They had a shower there.
Sure.
Okay. Well, until that went away, until she realized I was still on her membership. Right. It didn't cost her anything extra. She didn't notice for a little while, so that was helpful. Anywho, so I'm staying clean, brushing my teeth. I'm a bald guy, so I don't have hair to worry about. So that's good. But anyway, so that's the scoop. And so I'm like, whoa, okay. So there's
a demand for this.
There's a demand for this. People are wanting to get online. They're wanting to learn how to do this. And I wanted to scale that. I wanted to help more and more people to figure it out for themselves. And that's kind of how it was born, just saying, hey, let's put your content together in a way that people are already spending $100 billion. 2015, $100 billion worth of online content was purchased. That's massive.
Yeah.
It's massive. Really good for the few people building online courses, right? Really good for them. This year, 2017, by all accounts, we should be hitting or close to $200 billion in revenue as an industry.
What kind of people, just give me an example, like what kind of people are you making online courses for? I mean, because I'm sure there's all different kinds of people out there, right? What are some of the ideas, even for people listening, so they can get an idea like, hey, that could fit me.
So at first it was, you name it. I was open. I was like, yep, I'm willing to work with and for anyone, and so, from DJs to personal chefs to product developers to people that wanted to speak more, or they were already speaking on stage, but they just needed a way to monetize that better, things like that. And now anyway, the audience has shifted. For us personally, we work with a lot of coaches, marketers, anybody that's online that's wanting to make more money, or wants to be online and confused as to how they could actually make money. Coaches, speakers, authors, experts, entrepreneurs, that crowd is my crowd. Those are my people. But literally anyone that has any amount of knowledge on a specific thing could easily create an online course that either directly or indirectly makes them a significant income while building their brand and authority.
And you're doing this all over, not just Utah. You're flying
for sure,
all over to do this.
Absolutely. Yeah. LA to Houston to, you name it. We're going international. We have international clients already. Just a couple months ago, there was somebody that flew in from London to shoot the video content for their course. Yeah. And that's, there's two sides.
You're not shooting the video with like your iPhone either. It's probably good quality.
As you know, and you guys know, I love my cell phone.
Sure.
This saved my ass, okay? We have clients that shoot their content on a smartphone.
Really?
Absolutely.
So your clients are shooting their own video then, more or less?
There's
you don't have to give all the secrets and tricks.
No. It's not even a secret. Like 68% of online courses, online content that is purchased is shot on a smartphone.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
68%. But here's the funny part is that, a side note, because this isn't for everyone. This is, doing an online course. We turn a lot of people away that are like, I want to do a course. It's just not right for everyone. But there's always a strategy for everyone. I firmly believe that. We know that. We help a lot of people to connect with other people, other companies, other programs. But, we have two programs. One is done with you, where it's like, hey, this is our 6-week process. In 6 weeks, you're going to have an online course and you'll have an audience to sell it to. You can use your cell phone to shoot it. Or if you have a DSLR camera or a blogging or vlogging camera, whatever you have. And then we have a done for you service where it's like, it doesn't matter where you are. We'll fly you in. We have a couple studios here in Utah that we partner with that we can shoot and edit all your content, but we'll build it out for you. We do all the research, all the nerdy stuff beforehand, all the things that would otherwise prevent you from ever wanting to do an online course because it's a lot of work.
And you do the websites too, right? All the web design and stuff. So, you offer the whole package.
Yep. Yeah, we have solutions for everyone that way for sure.
Yeah.
But that, if we want to go bigger than that, because I don't believe this is about me right now, I have that feeling that somebody's listening to this like, maybe an online course doesn't even, I don't feel called to do an online course. But take this away. I literally just had I do a fair bit of mentoring as well with people that are looking to just learn more and get very specific on their own business and how to make it really work. We had a mentoring call literally as I'm driving here, finishing this call. And the guy's like, yeah, I'm doing all these different things, man. I'm doing a podcast. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Snapchat. I'm doing all these things. And I've put out these different programs and these things online. I'm calling myself a mentor and a coach and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, how's that working for you? He's like, dude, I'm hurting. I'm like, yeah, you're taking 100% of your effort into 14 different things. How effective are you going to be in any of those areas? Now, we could talk business. We can talk life with this, right? And
so you think he was spreading himself too thin by being on all those social media platforms? Hey, that's probably what I'm doing wrong.
My personal belief is just be where your people are. Right? Where, I like LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn. I love Instagram. And I'm in love with Facebook. That's where my people are. Literally 90% of our business comes from my own personal social media. We don't pay for ads. We don't do anything like that. We have referrals, but it all comes down to just spending time wisely. And I'm like, dude, let's clean it up. Let's clean it up. Let's be where your people are. Know that you're talking to the right people. You have the right message, but figure out what the pain point is. Figure out what they're in need of. Create a solution for that in line with your brand and what you stand for.
Sure.
Don't just create stuff just to create it and it means nothing to you. Make sure you're talking to the right people that say, hey, let's say my name's Chris Holyfield, right? Mm-hmm. I've got this podcast. I want to further reach more people. I want to monetize, whatever it is. Make sure you're talking to the right people that is in alignment with your message and who you are and what you stand for with this show, and fill a need. Pull your people. I was just literally, I do want to touch on this for just a second.
Sure.
This past weekend, my girlfriend and I were at one of my favorite conferences down in Vegas.
Thrive.
Yeah.
I thought it was the product.
It's not the product.
The patch. Isn't the Thrive?
There's Thrive, the MLM group. And I will say,
I feel like such an idiot now.
No. Don't. Because most people
confuse it.
Yeah. Sure. I think a lot of people think that. The Thrive products, I've tried them. I'm not affiliated. I don't sell it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. And I don't even know. All I know is,
it's cool.
We don't need to get into
No, not at all. But the other side of that, so this thing is called Thrive, Make Money Matter. I'm going to give them a little pitch. Cole Hatter, Sonia Hatter, his wife, the whole crew, they just bring in powerhouses in the online marketing, business space. We're talking multimillionaires, billionaires, from Robert Herjavec, various sharks, Kevin Harrington, to Ty Lopez. Some of these names might not be familiar to people, but people that have created empires, Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk, all these people come on his stage because he asks.
Sure.
You guys got to check it out. attendthrive.com. If I can say that out, you can edit it out.
No.
I don't get any notoriety or anything from that. It's just a brilliant conference. I think tickets for 2018 are on sale now. Anyway, brilliant.
And is it always in Vegas?
It was in Vegas the first year when I went, San Diego last year, and Vegas again this year. So we to transition out of that, go to Thrive. It's amazing. 1,000 entrepreneurs that are just top people, all looking to do something bigger in this world than just make money, making it matter. That's the whole purpose. Anyway, transitioning. So we get out this past Sunday, just literally 2 days ago. My girlfriend and I, a couple of our buddies, were going to walk the strip. Okay. We're headed to the strip. We are less than a block away from the Mandalay Bay when we see 30, 40 people running in our direction in panic mode. I'm sure if by the time this thing airs, we might have more information. We might know more, but this mass shooting that everyone's talking about, my phone has exploded because I just posted something like, hey, we're safe. We're still confused.
Yeah, no, I remember because I was up with my baby.
Oh, sure.
And I saw it, the outbreak, and I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Chrissy, you got to check this out.
Yeah.
And then I saw your post. I'm like, oh, that's right. Michael's down in Vegas right now.
Yeah. It was unreal.
Yeah.
But, it's just one of those things. It's another thing in life that you go through, and my heart breaks for the people that were affected directly. I mean, I'm a block away, and I feel like, okay, now I'm back in Utah. I'm safe. My girlfriend, whom I absolutely love and adore, she's safe. Our friends are safe, but not everybody's safe.
Yeah.
Not everybody made it through. And man, it's just, Anyway, my thing is just I
Did you
love
hear the
people.
gunshots? I'm curious.
We didn't hear the gunshots.
You didn't hear the gunshots?
No, didn't even hear them. But we obviously, and we felt it. We knew instantly something was going on. People sprinting through the streets.
Sure.
Our friends are calling us up. Get off the strip. We know you're headed there. Get off the strip. Twitter notifications, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And, I can spare the details because it's not as important. But dude, right now, like we might have a Salt Lake audience. We might have a Utah audience, but it doesn't matter if there's 2 people that listen to this or thousands. It's time to just love people. Just hang on to the people. You've got your little girl. I've got my little girl. Absolutely. We've got to love people right now. That's where my heart is. And that's why I keep pushing in business so hard. To get back to the point, everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own experience. Everyone learns in a different way. Everyone has their unique information. And I believe we have a unique responsibility. Before we're at a country concert and we don't make it out alive, right? That's real. Before we're in the Joplin tornado and we don't make it out alive, before we're driving down the street and we don't make it out alive, to spread that message, spread that information. That's why I love online courses, because that's where people are spending their attention. They happen to be spending dollars there, but it's their attention's going there. If you have a message you want to share, get online, do a course. You don't have to hire us to do it. Just get your information out there. We have a unique responsibility, I believe, to do that. That's how we help our fellow man.
Well, and we live in a unique day and age where you could do it anywhere. It doesn't matter where you live. I mean, you could be in the middle of Oklahoma and hundreds of miles from the nearest town.
Absolutely.
And you have a message or, something to say. A lot of times, there was a time when you had to live in a city for that job, right?
Right.
It's like, I'm moving to, Salt Lake City, or I'm moving to LA for this job and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And for example, you could be sleeping in your car right now, right?
Absolutely.
Getting information through podcasts, reading the books, downloading the things on YouTube. There's a point where we stop consuming and we start creating. That's what you're doing here.
Absolutely. Talk about, you do a Facebook group. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's okay to talk about it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's the 5-Figure Work Week, which I think is a great group. I don't delve into it as much as I probably should. Mm-hmm. For some reason, Facebook groups are kind of like this new thing for me. I don't know if it's just I either discovered them or they're just popping up everywhere.
Oh, sure.
But I think they're a wonderful tool that more people should take advantage of.
Absolutely.
To be able to go and find your tribe, find your people in whatever group it is, whether it's the 5-Figure Work Week or a group about, juggling clowns, I mean, whatever you're interested in. But
Absolutely.
talk about this group. What is a group about? Can anybody join?
Yes, absolutely. So here's the premise. So for years, right, I've had this calling to just share information, spread knowledge. Everyone's got something to share. Yeah. Everyone, literally everyone. I learn from my 5-year-old all the time, right? I mean, she happens to be brilliant. She happens, she literally is like, she's beyond spongy. Sure. It's scary, but I learn every day from everyone. And the 5-Figure Work Week came about because I was like, you know what? I'm tired of playing small. I'm tired of not sharing information as much as I feel like I can. I feel like I have that unique responsibility that I was talking about to share, and say, hey, you know what? If you're a beekeeper, we have a beekeeper in our group that is creating an online course.
How awesome is that, man?
She's a beekeeper and she's killing it. She's a beekeeper. Like I don't know one other beekeeper. She happens to know a couple thousand that wanted to learn how to do it. Right.
Wow.
So she has a course that caters to those needs. But the group is in alignment with this conference I talked about, Thrive. It's like, it doesn't matter about the income, doesn't matter about the money. Although that is the fuel, that is the energy that we require to continue doing what we're doing. Like sponsorships on a podcast, right? We got to keep this thing going somehow, some way. And I believe if your heart is really to help people, you've got to make money. It's a have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise you sleep in your car and you don't have the ability.
Well, you got to pay your bills.
You got to pay your bills. You got to live this life. And if we don't have the resource to then help other people to sustain ourselves, if we're not filling ourselves up, we can't fill other people up. With the 5-Figure Work Week, that is the mentality. It's like, I just want to share as much information as I can. Actually, we just launched, because out of need, we've been around like 10, 11 weeks now. We have over 1,800 members in this thing. It's crazy. We have an online course, go figure, that is very inexpensive, a couple hours worth of content. It's like $97, right? $97 for you to learn a little bit more about my insights. 2 hours of just saying, 2 hours of my time, by the way, is not $97. That's why I love doing an online course. If you value your time, if you really do, the number is irrelevant. But I'm saying $97, I feel like for the right person, makes sense. And in that, 2 hours of content to say, hey, this is how you can create your brand. This is how you can monetize what that looks like.
And this course is available through the group?
It's through through the group only. I don't share it anywhere else other than there. It's for those people, like the right people show up there.
Okay.
And I do believe in Facebook groups because it's not about finding the right people. Sometimes it's about, because you can do that one-on-one. And in a year, you can have 300 people in your group, or you can attract the right people. You can put out the right message and the right people show up. We've seen that time and time again in history. But with that, this particular group is for those people that are like, you know what, I'm tired of struggling, I'm tired of not figuring it out. Or like, hey, maybe I have some success, but I just want to learn how to do this thing. How do I scale this thing? How do I build this thing that can sustain substantial income so that I can help more people? How do I actually get my message out there and make an income? Income and impact is what we're all about in that group. So yeah, a little shout out to the 5-Figure Workweek peeps. It's an incredible community growing extremely fast. And I got some really crazy plans to hit 20,000 members by the end of this year. That's accountability. Boom, mic drop.
You said it right here on I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Okay.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, can you edit that out later? Okay.
And I'll put the link for that with this podcast at iamsaltlake.com so people can come and
welcome. All are welcome.
Check it out. We all have those moments, where you don't feel motivated. You were talking earlier about like depression and stuff. I'm sure you still have those days where you just do not feel motivated. What do you do? When you're in those moments, are you the type of person who goes and watches a motivational video or reads a book or what does Michael do?
Okay. First and foremost, I'm going to shake some things up here.
Sure.
I do not believe in reading.
Really?
Whoa. Boom. Crazy, right?
Isn't that like one of the things they say to be successful? Everybody reads, man.
Yeah. Guess who tells you that? People with books that you could buy. That's crazy.
You think so?
Okay. I'm going to get crazy. Now, I'm not saying don't read.
No, I like it. Shake it up.
Everyone has their own thing. For me, I've learned a couple things. What happens when I continuing, educate myself? I'm reading books that have been written. Like there's some books that are incredible books. You can get a ton out of them. I say get the building blocks in place, whatever that looks like, whether it's reading, podcasts are amazing, audiobooks, video, whatever it is, going to conferences, events, retreats, whatever it is for you, do that. Get to the point where it's like, I've got the building blocks. I've got the ammo. It's time to go for it. It's time to actually build this thing. I believe in creating versus consuming. That's just my thing. Right? I can't take action. I can't go towards my goals if I'm consuming. Now, reading could be fantastic to brush up, to stay motivated, to stay on top of your game and your industry. There's a lot of benefits to reading. I'm not going to knock that by any means, but the building blocks that you already have them. You can get up, you could do a Facebook Live right now and completely change somebody's life right now. You can't read that in a book.
True.
But anyway, I digress. Oh, somebody's out there like, wow, this guy, I don't like this guy. But that's the thing. I am okay with being myself. The right people show up. Okay. And that's just, I guess that's the point. But I think we all have our story. We can all change the world right now today by picking up our phone or doing something cool. So having said that, things that I do to motivate myself, I go back to this word that seems a little woo-woo, a little out there, but I feel like it's true for me. I center myself. What I center myself around are some certain core beliefs that I carry. I'm capable, I'm competent, and I have greatness that I need to share with the world. I can't falter on myself.
Sure.
At that point, I think about my daughter. She's literally my backdrop on my phone. She literally is. Boom.
And he's showing me his phone.
Yeah.
So it's really there,
it's
folks.
There.
He's not lying.
She is my why. Like, I know a lot of people say it's got to be internal. I have my internal beliefs, my internal motivators.
It is weird how kids do that. Again, back
absolutely.
To myself.
Dude, exactly.
I hear this. I would hear this from dads like yourself. Once I had a kid, it changed my life. I'm like, I'll tell you, it is weird, man. All of a sudden you're like, okay, this all makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I can relate.
Absolutely. And so I think about her. I'm like, okay, what example am I to her? Not just in what I do, but like how I show up. Am I the man in her life that shows her respect, shows her how she should be treated, shows her love, shows her support, leads her through those things? Am I that person? And if I'm, how you do one thing is how you do everything. I want to be that person in her life, right? The way I do that one thing, that one relationship, as important as she is to me, is how I view life. I want to be that person that shows love, shows the realness behind what this looks like. Entrepreneurial depression is a real thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Nobody wants to talk about it because why? We're on a social media highlight reel of life. Everything's good all the time. When I moved to Lehigh, let's bring it local. When I moved to Lehigh, one of my neighbors, here I am making a healthy 6 figures, right? It's a nice house, 2 cars, the trips and the lifestyle. Didn't care for it at the end of the day. Having said that, my neighbor, larger house, nice, super, super nice cars. Like I drove a Honda Accord at the time. I'm practical, whatever that means. And I'm like, dude, like you must be killing it with your job and life and all this stuff. Beautiful wife. He's got the sparkly teeth and he's just like this perfect guy. And I'm like, dude, you must be just loving life right now. He's like, and he broke down. He's like, I'm in a world of debt. My wife and I might be getting a divorce. I have no idea what that looks like. And I'm miserable. I am miserable right now. I'm like, dang, okay.
Yeah. So what's on the outside does
what's on the outside. Yeah. And we compare.
Tell all.
We naturally compare to other people. Like, dang it, Michael's just doing all these cool things. Well, guess what? I also sat crying in my hotel room 3 weeks ago about all the crap of my life. Like,
sure, it's
a roller coaster too.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter really what it looks like. We are all the same. No ifs, ands, or buts around it. Now, there are ways that we can strengthen ourselves and we can make those ups and downs more manageable. There are definitely things like that. One of those things I believe in is community, which is why I wanted the 5-figure work week to speak to a certain individual that's looking to do big things, isn't afraid to say that out loud, at least in an online community.
Yeah.
And connect with other people that get it. But how I do that, I go back to the same why. Why am I doing this? I want to be there for my daughter in a way that is in alignment with who I am. I want to show up for her that way. And I want to help other people to succeed. I can't negotiate that with myself. That's something that's hardwired in me. And I would just suggest anybody that's listening, business or personal, just come back to that why. You didn't come this far to only come this far. You didn't go through the things that you've gone through to then give up and say, oh, well, I went through it. Now my life sucks. It's like you went through that for a specific reason. There's going to be that time, that defining moment in your life, if it hasn't already happened, where it's like, wow, this is why this all happened. This is why it all came together right now. We don't get it in the moment because life sucks at that point. But time tells, time shows. And I've that's my personal experience, and I've seen that theme play out. So just find that purpose in your own life, your own business, whatever it has to look like.
And I love it. Put their picture on the backdrop of your phone.
Remind yourself.
Look at it all the time. How often? We pull our phone out of our pocket 1,000 times a day,
Absolutely.
right? That reminder.
Yeah, whatever that looks like. We have a responsibility to ourselves at that point. And whether you have a higher power or you have your faith of whatever that looks like, it comes back to the same thing. It's a reminder. Why do we have stories written in a book called a Bible, or any book for that matter? It's to remember. We have so much knowledge that we forget. Like the statistics on like cramming for tests. You take the test and within hours you've forgotten most of it. Right? We have to remind ourselves.
Yeah.
We've got to get back into that. So I keep her picture on my phone. I'm on it all like 24/7 sometimes. I'm remembered. I remember that. And it's not to say that I don't have ups and downs, because I definitely do. But that's a real thing, and you're not alone if you're listening to this message and this resonates with you.
A couple of quick questions to kind of get this wrapped up here. Appreciate your time today, Michael.
Hey, likewise.
I like to kind of shift gears a little bit with Salt Lake City, if that's okay.
Yeah.
You've lived here for a little while, so I'm sure you've ran into those situations where somebody's coming to town and they're like, what do we do here in Salt Lake? What's there to do in this city? Is there one or two things you would recommend?
Wow. Yeah. So I love the outdoors. If you can get out onto a mountain
and do some hiking.
I didn't know what hiking really was moving out here. My neighbor's like, yeah, you guys should go hiking, blah, blah, blah. Here's where you go. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. It's going to be a paved path through some woods, some trees, and you just walk. Well, I realized, hiking's for real. You're on a mountain. You got to do that. That's amazing.
And there's so many great hiking trails just 5 minutes away almost.
Absolutely.
Download wherever you're at.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And if you're confused like where to go or whatever, download the All Trails app.
Okay.
all trails. It shows
I'll
you
have to check that out
all the
myself.
trailheads. Gives you a synopsis of his, easy, medium, hard, distance, elevation gains, a bunch of pictures uploaded from users. All Trails. I love that app for that reason. But you know what? Do the local things. Like go down to Temple Square. Check that out. It doesn't matter your affiliation.
Yeah.
That's amazing. There's a lot of
history there.
The
Is
history,
awesome.
the stories. You don't get that anywhere else. Do that. But within several hours drive, you could be in Colorado, Wyoming, Nevada, Idaho. There's some really cool things there as well. Which is why I think Salt Lake is so crucial. It's like a pivot point for all of those cool things. But here in the city, I mean, there's the theaters. Hale Center Theater has really great productions that they bring in. There's a lot of community, so it doesn't matter what you're into. Like you can find a group on Facebook or Meetup that caters to your unique thing. But man, there's so much business. There's so much entrepreneurship here. There's so many interest groups just that you can connect with local people, which is how we actually physically met at Access Salt Lake.
Yes,
the co-working space. That's where we physically first met. And there's some really great co-working spaces, networking groups. Those are the things I'm into. So that's why I'm like, hey, just get out and meet people.
Yeah, well, and that's why I always ask for recommendations of whoever I'm chatting with, because everybody has their own set of things they recommend.
Sure. Sure.
And then I also like to ask, favorite local eating spots. It was kind of a silly question when I first started this hundreds of episodes ago, but it's turned into kind of a question that people are like, okay, what new places can I try? I don't know if you have like a little favorite place that you like. We all like to go out to eat.
Oh,
right?
you got to, that's the one thing. I'm addicted to food, I think.
Sure.
I got to do it like every day.
Well, you have to survive.
I do it several times. You know what I like? I like Porcupine.
Okay. Yeah.
I like Porcupine. They have a couple locations, but there's something about the food. Like it just feels like it's good food, and it feels like it's, I don't know, it's just like comfort food, but it's not. There's just something to it, and there's a vibe. Like there's a lot of skiers and snowboarders and just good like families, and I love the food there. There are several places downtown. If you're looking for something nice, I love Tuscany. Tuscany is a super nice place. Good food, great. It doesn't matter what you're into. Everything's really good there. Man, there's so many.
I just, one or two out there. I mean, that works too.
Okay, good.
I don't mean to put you on the spot and be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, Wendy's. I don't know. Yeah, all the good
I actually had a kid on here one time do that. Be like, well, to be honest, all I eat is Taco Bell. And I'm like,
oh, sure.
All right, well, you're missing out, buddy. There's still a lot of good food out there. But how can people find you? Let's run down, your website address. Again, I'll put that at I Am Salt Lake with this and whatnot. But I really urge, you got a great website too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Everybody should go check out your website.
I agree.
At least take a look at it. Beautiful website.
Thank you.
But how can people get there?
So you can find me on Facebook, Michael Marcial. There's not very many of us, but MICHAEL MARCIAL, Marcial. You hit me up on Facebook. That's like number one if you want to like chat, if you want to talk to me. Some people are like, dude, why do you respond to every message? I'm like, those are my people. Sure. That's why. I love connecting. Do that. But you can definitely go to the website, michaelmarcial.com, same spelling. Thanks for the comment about the website. That's a funny story in itself. I'll spare the details, but it's built, that was built from my phone.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's been updated and upgraded since then, but same platform, same skeleton.
Beautiful site, easy to navigate. It's just really well done. I mean, you go there and you're like, okay, I know what this guy is. I mean, how often, I think it was a video I watched of yours, maybe not, but you were talking about going to like somebody's Facebook page and you're like, well, what are they even about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was that your video? Maybe?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
So often you go to a website, you go somewhere and you're like, what does this person even do?
Yeah.
But that's why your website's great.
Clarity, man. If you know who you are, you know what you want to do in this world, in your life, whatever, be clear about it.
Yeah.
There's so many, this will be a short little tangent. There's so many people out there that are wanting to get online. They want to do something online. They want a passive income, whatever that is. They want a podcast like this one. Like it's hard to do an awesome podcast like this, right?
Well, thank you.
It's not everyone should just go out and do all these things, but they want to call themselves a coach or a mentor or a speaker. They're not getting, what do you speak about? What do you coach on? Who are you? Just get super clear with that. And I've got some resources on the website actually that that goes into how to like clarify that. But I would say, the website, michaelmarcial.com, hit me up on Facebook, and certainly the 5-Figure Workweek group if that resonates.
And I'll put that link too.
Cool.
At imsaltlake.com with this episode. One last question we're going to leave the listeners today with. Do you have a motto or a piece of advice that you would like to leave with our listeners today?
Yes. And I think this is it. When you're authentic to yourself, you attract what's meant for you. Just be you. Everyone else is taken, right? Like we've heard that. When you're authentic to yourself, you attract what's meant for you.
Perfect place to end the show. Thank you, Michael. Anything else you want to add before I cut this off?
Thanks for having me on. This was awesome.
You bet.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Many thanks again to Michael Marcial for coming on the podcast and sharing his story. All the links to get in touch with him and join up with his Facebook group, those will all be at imsaltlake.com/300 for episode 300. Go reach out to him. Let him know that you heard him on the podcast. Let him know what you thought of the interview. Also, while you're at it, let us know what you thought of the podcast. You can leave a comment on Facebook or Twitter and tell us what you think of these episodes. We love to hear from our listeners. Hey, you've heard me mention them. You've heard me praise them. Jed's Barbershop is a very proud sponsor of the podcast. With 3 locations now, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 9 to 7, and even on Sunday from 12 to 5. Their newest 3rd location, it's located at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and up in Sugar House, 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointments necessary. Just show up, get a haircut. Maybe you have a last-minute date, a job interview. Maybe you're even headed to grandma's house. You're going to want to get a haircut and look good. Jed's Barbershop is the place to go. I've actually chatted with a lot of guys. They don't know where to go get a haircut. They don't want to go to those, cheapo haircut places because they always walk out with a horrible haircut. Jed's Barbershop is where you need to go and get yourself looking good. JedsBarbershop.com is their website where you can find out more about them. Hey, that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. This week, I challenge you to tell one person about the podcast. Tell your neighbor, tell a friend, share your favorite episode of this podcast on social media. Just tell one person. We put a lot of time into this podcast. The least you can do is tell one friend about the podcast. You guys have a great week. Get out and enjoy the city. Go for a walk in your neighborhood. High five a stranger. And I'll see you on the next episode.